Human beings follow those cultures and traditions which are best suited for their purpose of survival. And it is an evolutionary motivation which is present in each and every human person to do everything within their reach in order to preserve the survival of themselves as well as the survival of their offsprings. And that's the main reason why we build societies. All the societies are built for this one purpose, and it is to create predictability and the security and a very conducive environment within which human beings can live together and they can avoid all the threats which are a threat to their survival, and they can procreate. That has been the reason behind the establishment of all the societies which are functioning or which have functioned in the past. And that were the motivations which actually compelled our ancestors to build those social groups which were important for the survival of the community. And that's why all those cultures and all those traditions were passed on from one generation to the next, and they were passed on in the form of stories. Because human beings are very good at one thing, and that is to tell stories. Now, that is something which actually separates us from all the other animal kingdom, and that is that we have the ability to give and pass on important concepts in the form of stories to the upcoming generations. And since the real purpose behind the rituals which are passed on from one generation to the next in the form of stories are forgotten, what happens is that those stories actually take the form of divinity and they really become sacred to their possessors. And that's the reason that people become so defensive when somebody tries to ridicule or humiliate their cultures and their traditions. And that's why we see that even the political affiliations or the religious affiliations, every time whenever you're trying to ridicule or you're trying to humiliate the philosophies, the principles and the beliefs which are held by one party, you will see that they will get defensive. Even you will have some things that you're not willing to listen to anything which goes against those beliefs. And if anybody is trying to convince you against that particular thing, you're going to perceive that person as fool. And human beings have these very strong temptations to perceive someone who is trying to preach something which actually goes against our beliefs as someone who is a liar or he is actually wrong. So, in order to understand the cultural diversity and all the different colors of humanity, the first thing that we need is an open mind. And that open mind can only occur, or we can only get it, when we are willing to listen to the concepts and to the views of the other party, which means that there is no one who is right and there is no one who is wrong. People are different from each other. The reality that you're holding for yourself has helped you and your ancestors to survive this long. Similarly, when you're talking to another person who belongs to another culture, is holding on to their philosophies of living just because those philosophies have helped them to survive that far. So, a sense of empathy is very important whenever you're talking to someone who belongs to a different culture and a tradition. And the first thing that you should keep in your mind that you don't have all the answers. And when you're talking to them, you might find something which is going to answer some of your questions, and there is going to be an elevation in your level of wisdom, and you're going to understand the human nature better. So keep your mind open to all the possibilities that exist and do not try to label them as right or wrong. They're just different, they're out of your experience. Try to bring them in your experience. Do not ridicule or humiliate anyone just because they believe in something, and try to understand the world from their perspective and from their narrative.